My dad's voice was so thin I barely recognized it. "Don't hang up," he whispered. Behind him, my mom was talking sharp and frantic like a kettle left on too long. "Your sister says the bank can take the house. She says it's your fault." I don't know what I signed. Outside my apartment window, a neighbor's last leftover firework cracked somewhere down the block. It sounded like a warning shot. "Dad," I said, forcing my voice steady, "put me on speaker, and don't sign another page." "Not one," he swallowed. "She's holding the papers. She won't let me read them. Your mom keeps saying you abandoned us." Then he said the sentence that turned my stomach to ice. "They're coming tomorrow to change the locks." As he spoke, my mind snapped back to the moment this started. The moment I learned I wasn't family unless I was convenient. 7 days earlier, the Monday before Thanksgiving, my mom texted me at 7:12 a.m. "Don't come this year, we're keeping it small." I stood in my kitchen with my coffee half poured, staring at the screen like it belonged to someone else. Thanksgiving in our family was never small. It was a production. 2 tables pushed together, football on low. My mom counting heads like she was running a church fundraiser. I typed back small. "You said everyone was coming. 3 dots. Then this year is about your sister. Don't ruin it." "No, I'm sorry. No explanation, just a verdict." Before I could even breathe, another message buzzed in. "From my sister Karen, don't come." The guest list is final. Clean, polite, absolute. Karen is my older sister, the golden child. Growing up, she was the one with big feelings. I was the one who was fine. I'm 27. When Karen needed rescuing, my parents moved mountains. When I needed anything, I got a tight smile and "you'll figure it out." When Karen totaled her car, Dad called it an accident. When I earned a scholarship out of state, Mom called it running away. When Karen's marriage collapsed, my parents refinanced the house so she could start over. When I asked for help with my first apartment deposit, Dad said, "You're the responsible oneable." So when my mother and my own sister told me not to show up for Thanksgiving, I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I didn't send a long text about feelings they'd never make room for. I stared at my phone until the hurt hardened into clarity. If I went, I'd be the problem. If I stayed away, they'd have their perfect table and their perfect story. I opened my laptop and found an email I'd ignored for years. Out-of-state transfer, final offer. My company had been asking me to take over a struggling branch. I'd always said no because my parents were getting older. Because Karen was always going through something, because I kept believing loyalty would be returned. That morning, I clicked reply. I accept. Relief hit first, clean, immediate. Then grief followed, heavy and slow. Not because I was leaving my hometown, but because I realized I'd been staying for people who didn't want me there. By noon, I'd called my supervisor. By afternoon, HR sent the relocation packet. That night, I packed 2 suitcases, my winter coat, and the framed photo I kept out of habit more than love our family and matching sweaters. Everyone smiling like nothing was wrong. My phone stayed quiet. No. "Are you okay from Mom?" No call me from Dad. No anything from Karen because she didn't need to pretend. The next morning, I drove out before sunrise, windshield wipers smearing frost into thin lines. Mile after mile, I tried to convince myself I was doing the healthy thing. But somewhere past the state line, the truth landed in my chest like a stone. They didn't uninvite me to keep the peace. They uninvited me because they needed me gone. And as the highway opened up ahead, I kept seeing Karen's message. The guest list is final, like it was meant for more than a dinner table. Because 1 week later, my dad's name lit up my phone, and he was panicking. I forced my voice into something calm enough to borrow. "Dad, I said banks don't show up with a locksmith the next day. If someone's coming tomorrow, it's because Karen called them, not the bank." He sounded like he was pacing, breath-catching. "She says the mortgage is behind. There's a notice. Your mom's been crying all week. Karen keeps saying it's your fault. If she hadn't left, she would have helped." There it was. My name dragged back in like a leash. "Start at the beginning," I said. "What did you sign?" A pause, paper shuffling. Then my M. Alm's voice sharp in the background. Frank stopped talking to her. Dad lowered his voice. "Saturday before Thanksgiving." Karen came over with a folder and a man in a blazer. She said he was helping with documents. "An attorney?" I asked. "I don't know." Dad swallowed. He had a briefcase, smiled a lot. Karen said it was routine, power of attorney so she could handle bills if something happened. My stomach tightened. Power of attorney wasn't a holiday chore, it was control. "Did you read it?" I asked. She kept flipping pages. He admitted, pointed where to sign. Your mom said just do it, Frank, we don't need drama. The same family rule as always. Keep Karen happy. Keep the peace even if it costs the rest of us. Do you have copies? I asked. No, his voice cracked. Karen took the folder. Said she'd scan everything. Of course she did. Okay, I said steady as I could. We slow this down. I need a witness there. Who isn't Mom or Karen? Is Aunt Diane around? Dad hesitated. Your mom doesn't want Diane involved. That told me everything. Diane was my dad's sister, the one person who didn't swallow truth just to keep dinner polite. I'm calling her, I said. Diane picked up on the second ring. Honey, she said, and I could hear the worry already. You were over there, I asked. I was, she said, and I saw why they didn't want you at that table. My throat tightened. What do you mean? Your mother told the family you couldn't be bothered to come. Diane said that you were too busy chasing promotions. She said it like you were the problem. I stared at my bare wall and the tiny rental my company put me in my suitcase, still half unpacked, so the story was already written. Diane said, but that wasn't the real reason. Karen didn't want questions. Diane explained she'd stopped by the day before Thanksgiving to drop off pie tins. Karen's car was there, and so was a stranger's. A man with a tablet, Diane said. Measuring wheel, real estate type. I asked your mom what was going on. She smiled too big and said just some updates, an appraiser or someone checking value, either way not innocent. And then I saw it. Diane added what I asked, a thick folder on the counter, tabs everywhere, big block letters on the front. Her voice dropped, estate, POA deed. My skin went cold. Are you sure? I asked. I'm old, not blind, Diane snapped, then softened. Frank looked confused. Your mother looked scared. Karen looked satisfied. I could see Karen's face in my mind, calm, pretty controlled. The kind of calm that makes other people feel crazy for asking why. One more thing, Diane said. When I left, there was an envelope on the hall table. Windowed. I didn't touch it, but I could read the line through the plastic. What line? I whispered. Notice of default, Diane said with the bank's logo. My mouth went dry. Default deed. POA. In the same house where my mom once scolded me for leaving a cup on the coffee table. Diane, I said I need you to do something tonight. Tell me, she said. Go. Back over there. I said quiet. No confrontation. Take a picture of whatever you can. Envelopes, letterheads, anything with a date. Then call me. Diane didn't hesitate. I'm already grabbing my keys. As the line went dead, my phone buzzed with a new text from Karen. Stay out of this. You left. I stared at it for a long beat, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like the spare daughter. I felt like the one who was about to stop her. Diane called me back 20 minutes later. I'm parked around the corner, she whispered. I got pictures. My heart thudded. Tell me. A yellow envelope from the bank. Notice of default, she said. Dated 3 weeks ago in certified mail. Your mother signed for it. And... Diane lowered her voice. There's a sticky note on the fridge, Karen's handwriting. Locksmith 2's 9 a.m. My fingers went numb. A locksmith. Not the bank, Diane said. Your sister. My other line lit up. Dad. I clicked over. Dad, I said I'm here. His breathing was ragged. She's back. Karen's back. She's yelling. She says she's going to handle the house situation because you won't. Put me on speaker, I said. The sound shifted room echo footsteps. My mom's tight sniffle. Karen's voice came through first smooth and controlled. Hi. So, you finally answered. Why is there a locksmith scheduled for Tuesday, I asked. A beat of silence. That's none of your business. Karen said, you moved, you're out. I'm out of Thanksgiving, I said. Not out of Dad's life. He told me you had him sign papers. It was routine. Karen said, someone has to be responsible here. Responsible doesn't mean secret. I said, what did you do? My mom cut in bright and trembling. Please don't start. We can't do this right now. Your father is stressed. No, I said. We do it now because if there's a locksmith coming, we're already past family talk. Dad's voice cracked. She said the bank. The bank doesn't send locksmiths, I said. Karen does. Karen exhaled patient like I was a customer complaint. I'm protecting them. You weren't here. You took a transfer. You chose a job over family. The lie landed cleanly practiced. You told me not to come, I said. You said the guest list was final. A pause. Then Karen's voice. E went colder. Because you make everything heavy. Mom and Dad needed a nice holiday for once. My chest tightened. Not because it was true, but because she'd trained them to believe it. Dad, I said gentler. Did you sign a power of attorney? He whispered yes. Did you sign anything about the house, about the deed? I asked. My mom snapped. No, Frank. Dad's voice got small. Karen said it was to keep things simple in case of emergencies. She said it wouldn't change anything. Karen jumped in. It doesn't. It just means I can handle bills. Then why change passwords, I asked. Why keep copies from him? Because he gets confused. Karen said because Mom panics because you're not here. Dad, I said tomorrow you go to the bank in person with Aunt Diane, not Karen. Bring your ID. Ask for a print out of every account, every loan, every automatic payment. Ask if there's a home equity line or refinance. Ask what POA they have on file. Karen gave a soft laugh. You think you can undo this with one visit? Yes, I said, because he's the homeowner, and if you pressured him or misused anything, it's not family stuff. The room went quiet. Dad whispered, Am I in trouble? I softened, No. And Dad, do not let anyone change locks. If a locksmith shows up, you tell them to leave. Karen's voice turned icy. If you interfere, I'll tell everyone you're trying to steal from them. Say whatever you want, I said, but you're not locking them out of their own home. My phone buzzed Diane again. A photo attachment. A close. Up of the notice. The bank's logo, the date. Foreclosure action may commence if not cured by 10 days from now. My stomach turned. 10 days wasn't time, it was a trap. They'd kept that envelope off the table the same way they'd kept me off the guest list. Quiet, tidy, convenient. Diana, I said, stay with them tonight. Don't leave Dad alone with Karen. I'm not going anywhere, she said. I swallowed hard and looked at my calendar, my new job orientation circled in red. Then I made the only choice that made sense. I stared at the deadline, then at my suitcase by the door. Dad, I said, we're getting a lawyer. I didn't sleep. I sat on my couch with my laptop open and a legal pad on my knees like I was cramming for a test I never signed up for. Dates, amounts, names. Every moment Karen had helped. Every time my mom had said, let it go. Every time my dad had sounded smaller than he used to. At 7:41 a.m., Diane called from her car. I picked your dad up, she whispered. Your mother tried to block the door. My stomach tightened. Is he okay? He's embarrassed, Diane said. But he got in the car. That's a start. I stayed on speaker as they walked into the bank. I could hear the automatic, doors, the soft lobby hum, the polite murmur of people waiting their turn, ordinary life continuing while my family's foundation cracked. A banker came on the line, calm and professional. Mr. Harris, I'm going to ask a few security questions. Dad answered them, voice, shaky but present. Then the banker said the sentence that made everything click. There is an active home equity line of credit attached to your property, she said, and the last 2 payments were missed. My dad let out a sound like air escaping a tire. I didn't open that. Diane's voice was steel. He didn't, the banker continued carefully. We also have a power of attorney document on file authorizing your daughter to conduct certain financial transactions. My blood ran cold. Can you print that POA? I asked. If Mr. Harris requests it. Yes, she said. Print it, Dad croaked. A printer word paper slid across a counter. It's notarized, Diane murmured, reading it. Notarized, official, the kind of paper that makes decent people assume everything is fine. Dad whispered, almost childlike. Karen brought the notary to the house. She said it was just to Witten. Signatures. I closed my eyes. Karen didn't just take control, she made it look clean. Okay, I said, forcing my voice into steadiness. Here's what we do next. We don't fight her with emotion, we fight her with steps. Diane didn't hesitate. Already called Reynolds and Phelps. They can see us at noon. By noon, my dad sat in an attorney's office that smelled like coffee and paper. Mr. Reynolds spoke like he'd seen this exact story 100 times, and that was somehow comforting. Frankie said gently, if you're competent, you can revoke a power of attorney. You also have the right to know exactly what was opened, what was withdrawn, and where the money went. Dad's shoulders slumped. I didn't mean to cause trouble. You didn't cause it, Reynolds said, but someone may have used your trust. Then Reynolds laid it out like a checklist because dignity returns the second someone tells you what's real. Revoke the POA and writing properly witnessed and notarized. Deliver the revocation to the bank immediately. Freeze the line of credit and require dual authorization going forward. Request a full accounting of transactions. If there's misuse, address it formally because family doesn't cancel consequences. Dad signed the revocation with a trembling hand. I hated that my sister had turned his signature into a weapon. After the appointment, Reynolds called Karen because sometimes the safest confrontation is the one with a professional in the room. Karen picked up on the first ring VBR. Oi, Sprite. Hi, is this about Dad? I've been trying to keep everything under control. Karen Reynolds interrupted, calm as glass. Your father has revoked your power of attorney effective immediately. The bank will be notified today. We're also requesting a full accounting of withdrawals and payments made through the home equity line. Silence. Then Karen's tone cooled. You can't do that. We already did, Reynolds said. My mom's voice rose in the background, thin and pleading. Karen, please. Karen ignored her. This is ridiculous, she said. She left, she walked away. I stayed and handled everything. I finally spoke, keeping my voice even. You told me not to come. You told me the guest list was final. You didn't want me handling anything. You wanted me gone. Karen's breath sharpened. Because you asked questions. Yes, I said. And now we know why. Reynolds didn't take the bait. Karen, you have two choices. Cooperate with the accounting and repayment plan or we proceed formally. Karen let out a small laugh. Brittle. Fine, I'll pay it back, happy on a written schedule. Reynolds said automatic payments. No access to new credit in your parents' names. Karen's voice turned low. You think Mom will choose you now? That one didn't sound like anger. It sounded like a confession. The call ended and for a moment all I could hear was my dad's breathing slower, steadier than yesterday. Then he looked at Diane, then at Reynolds, then down at his hands. There's something else, he whispered, something. And Karen had a sign about the house. My pulse jumped. Dad, I said softly, what did you sign? He swallowed hard. A deed, he said. I didn't feel anger first. I felt a hollow calm like my body decided panic was too expensive. Mr. Reynolds leaned forward. Frank, do you remember what you signed? Dad stared at the carpet. Karen said it was a quit-claim deed. She said it would avoid probate. My mom's hand flew to her mouth. I didn't understand, she whispered. Reynolds nodded once. The first question is simple. Was it recorded? He made a quick call, then looked up. It hasn't been recorded. That means it's not final. But it also means someone was preparing to make it final. The locksmith note Diane photographed wasn't about maintenance. It was about control, about urgency, about making my parents feel like they had no choice. Dad's voice cracked. I raised her. How did I not see this? I wanted to scream at all of them, but I didn't. Older hearts don't need noise to understand pain. They need clarity. Dad, I said, you're seeing it now. That matters. We fix what we can and we set rules so it can't happen again. Reynolds printed what he called guardrails. Karen's authority revoked in writing bank restrictions, so no new borrowing could happen without Dad present and a repayment agreement for every dollar pulled from the home equity line. Karen showed up that evening dressed like she was walking into a holiday party. She kissed my mom's cheek and barely looked at my dad. This is getting Dr. Amatic, she said calmly. Dad stood. His hands shook, but his voice didn't. No. I let you do what you wanted because I hated conflict. And you used that. Karen's smile tightened. Dad, you changed our passwords, he said. You opened credit. You scheduled a locksmith. You pushed papers in front of us and called it routine. That isn't help. That's control. For a second, she looked genuinely stunned, like no one had ever spoken to her in plain English. Then she turned to me. You left? You told me not to come, I said. You said the guest list was final. You wanted me gone because I asked questions. My mom's shoulders sagged. Karen, why didn't you just tell us you needed money? Karen's lips trembled once. Because you'd say no, she snapped, and I'm tired of being the one who fails. It wasn't an excuse, but it was the first honest sentence I'd heard from her in years. Reynolds slid the agreement across the table. You will repay what you withdrew, you will not act on your parents' behalf again, and you will not attempt to record any deed. Karen stared at the paper like it was a mirror. Finally, she signed. Later, my mom sat with me at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around a mug she never drank from. I made you the easy child, she said, tears falling. I used your strength so I wouldn't have to confront hers. I didn't forgive her in one breath. I told her what it cost me years of swallowing hurt to keep peace that was never mine, and she listened. No defending, no blaming, just listen. Weeks later, my dad mailed me a folder labeled copies in his neat handwriting. Bank alerts were set. Diane stayed involved. Karen started therapy and kept the repayment schedule. The next holiday was smaller, quieter, and finally real. Karen apologized, not perfectly, but sincerely. My dad apologized too, and it sounded like accountability, not guilt. I stayed in my new city. I kept my transfer. I visited with boundaries. Because reconciliation isn't pretending it didn't happen. It's choosing truth and choosing each other. Anyway, if you take anything from my family's mess, let it be this talk early about Will's power of attorney and money. Keep Snort's copies, ask questions, and never let don't ruin the holiday silence you into losing something you can't replace. If this story made you think of someone, an aging parent, a sibling who handles everything, or the quiet child who's always expected to be fine, share it with them. And if you want more grounded revenge audio stories with real-life lessons and real healing, subscribe and stay with me. The end